also now I'm looking forward to the next speaker on stage. He is called Artjem Weissbeck, and he is the co-founder of Kapten Son. He founded it in 2014, and then he founded Charles in 2019. And Charles is a name that I'm actually quite in love with, since our second son's name is Charles. So I think that's also a very good sign. He is going to be talking about how they managed to make these two companies so successful, how they managed to get them on the market, and how they did it in a different kind of way, in a different marketing sense. It's great to have him on stage. The keynote is called 10 Principles from 10 Years of Building Kapten Son and Charles. Learned many lessons, and we're going to learn a lot of lessons now too. So a big round of applause for Artjem Weissbeck. Thank you very much for being here today.
I'm not sure how many of you remember the day when you realized that marketing works and that marketing really matters. I remember it really well. It was 2014. I was basically still a law student, but right before my exam with two friends, Johannes and Fabian, we came to the conclusion that we should start a watch company called Kapten Son. And we put a lot of sweat into it, a lot of blood into it, and a lot of nights into it, and I basically jeopardized my law studies. And when we launched the shop, so many people told us before that they will buy our products. But when we launched it, within 48 hours, there was only 3 orders. My parents, Fabian's parents, and Johannes' parents. So that was a bit devastating. I thought I risked everything, and it just went downhill. And then we thought, okay, what do we do? And when you're desperate, you start thinking out of the box. So we took these boxes that you can see here, and there was actually nothing inside the box. They were empty. But we created a post, we made a post, and the post said, "Wow, guys, you're incredible. Only 48 hours after launch, and we are nearly sold out. If you still want the product, buy it now. These packages are on the way to our first 100 customers." And within 48 hours, we were sold out. So that was really the first moment when I realized how powerful marketing can be. And since then, a lot has happened. 10 years. 2014, as you heard, Kapten Son was founded. We built it, I think, by today to a great consumer brand, one of the biggest in Europe for direct-to-consumer, and have millions of customers worldwide. And in 2019, we started Charles with my co-founder Andreas, which is a software company, so totally different, a software company that enables leading consumer brands to do marketing as they do in email via WhatsApp. And it's a totally new world, but by now, it is really something that has scale and that works in Europe. So within those 10 years, 5 years in B2C, 5 years in B2B, there was a lot of things I learned. And actually, in both companies, I'm not active managing director anymore, just on the board. And I trust my co-founders to do the best job in the world, which they do. So now is a point where I can actually talk a little bit about what I learned in those 10 years and 10 principles I built for myself. And it's important for me to say that these are for me, right? I have my own style, I have my own way of doing things, and I was in totally different situations than you. But my hope is that you get out of this in 15 minutes and that you have maybe 2 or 3 things that you can really implement in your day as a marketing leader, as a CMO, or in any other way. The first one is that names are superpowers. I saw it over and over again, and it always reminds me of a movie that you might know, just called The Founder. It's the McDonald's story. And within this story, this is the very last scene in the movie, one of the last scenes, where Kroc, Mr. Kroc, who basically pushed out the original founders from McDonald's and bought them off, saw one of the guys in the toilet after the deal at the notary. And the guy asked him, "Man, why didn't you just replicate everything we did? You knew exactly how we do everything. Why didn't you just do exactly the same thing? Why did you have to torture us for years before buying us out? And then the guy said, Mr. Kroc, I couldn't have replicated it because I would have missed one thing, and that's McDonald's. McDonald's is America. McDonald's is limitless. McDonald's will stay. It was the name. And of course, it's a movie, it's a bit dramatic, but I have to say, in Kapten Son and Charles, I saw really similar things. Kapten Son, we were a few weeks old as a company, and a customer came to us and brought us a package. And when they saw our 15 square meter office, she was saying, what the fuck is going on here? I thought this is a family business that exists since centuries, or decades, sorry. And it was really the name to the outside that seemed like a legacy. With Charles, it's similar, right? When we started, WhatsApp marketing was totally new in Europe. No one knew it. We really built it up. We educated companies on how to do it. And today, next to email, it becomes the second biggest CRM channel they have. Since we had many copycats in many countries who tried to do the same and who are doing the same, but because the name Charles, I think, has some iconic taste, and it was really rememberable the first moment you heard it. But why is a software company called Charles? People always associate us with the original, and we will always stay the original, partly because of this name. And that can also, obviously, you will ask now, hey, Addy, but I cannot change the name of my company if I don't like it right now. But it's not only about companies, it's also about products, it's also about campaigns, or maybe even meetings that you do a lot, right? For example, at Charles, we have the core of our product is a marketing automation engine, so you can easily automate conversations in WhatsApp. And it's called Journeys, and that name was set by the team that built it. And they have a lot of pride in that, right? And I really think that made a difference in how important this product became for us and the whole industry. Names are superpowers. The second principle is imagine a KPI podium. So the most important KPIs that you have as a marketing leader. I'm focused on marketing principles today, by the way. On place 1, there's the NPS, the Net Promoter Score. How good are your customers talking about you to their friends and their colleagues? Because it's on number 1 because it influences the other 2. It influences the customer acquisition cost, the cost to acquire a customer, and the customer lifetime value, the revenue that you make with a customer over time, which shares second place, because they influence each other. If you have great customer lifetime value, you can spend a lot to acquire a customer. If you have low customer acquisition costs, it's okay to not have great customer lifetime value because you're still profitable. But the Net Promoter Score, if that one is good, it is basically free advertising, so your customer acquisition cost goes down. And if people love your product, they want more of them, and they will tell their friends, right, about it because they're proud of it and they get more of it, so the customer lifetime value goes up. So the NPS influences both, while the CAC and CLV only influence each other. And that's why marketing leaders should put way more time into looking at the NPS and what it means and what it says, why people don't talk well about the product, and implement that into the marketing world. Some examples from Kapten Son and Charles. At Kapten Son, the reason why since years our customer acquisition costs are constant and not going up is because we have millions of customers walking around with their backpacks, with their sunglasses, with their watches, and they love them and they talk well of them. So they're our biggest marketing channel. And at Charles, we had a big challenge because when we started, we had to work close with the WhatsApp API, which comes from Meta, and it was really young. They were like a startup themselves. So a lot of those things were not really working that well. And our customers associated that with us. So it was hard to really scale, and that's why the customer lifetime value couldn't go up that easily because big companies were yet shy to really scale the channel. So it took us years to improve the stability NPS, to deal with all these problems from the WhatsApp API, and to now really have millions of conversations going through every month and having a good NPS on that specific topic, which allowed us to work with the biggest brands in Europe. Number 3, 80-20 sucks. And this is really focused on external work. A lot of internal work can be 80-20. But I personally really hate 80-20. It always feels like homework. It feels like you're doing something so the professor or the teacher says, okay, you have done it. But you don't do it with heart. You don't do it with purpose. And I really think that the difference between good and great is to go from 80-20 to 90-40. What does 90-40 mean? It means double the effort from 20 to 40% of your effort. And for that, you only get 10% more result and better work. But those 10% will compound if you do it with all of your work as a brand, as a marketing team, and that will make you great. So that is craft, not just homework. And I know it's different from many others, but for me personally, I really get sad when I see a lot of 80-20 work around myself. Another one you might not like, micromanagement doesn't always suck. It may be a mode that we can use as leaders. Some of you might have heard about the founder mode. It was just now very famous that founders should go really deep and have a founder mode. I don't think that's limited to founders. I think generally, and there's actually 3 principles out of micromanagement mode that I think are good. It can really help you to cultivate habits. So at our marketing team at Charles, product velocity was really important. Content velocity was really important for us. We wanted to know how fast are we able to push out good content, right, week over week. And I really dive deep with the team into the process of how we make content. Who do we have to talk with to get it done? And what we found is that actually in our product team, where they work in sprints, we have a great model that we can adopt in marketing to have a higher content velocity, similar like the product team wants to have a higher product velocity. So that was a real big deep dive. And I think some of those deep dives to cultivate habits in the team that you want the team to do over and over again should be done with a level of micromanagement. Accelerate for breakthroughs. My co-founder Andreas at Charles, we were really lacking in integration that our customers desperately wanted to have, but it was not on the roadmap. There was a lot of other things we wanted to build. So what he did is he basically took our teams together with our VP product, and next to the general standard work that we normally have and all the routines that we have, we said, okay, no, this is now the one thing that we want to get done, and we all focus on it until it's done, and it's an acceleration to breakthrough. And that is not something that can be done without a certain level of then also micromanaging the situation, because people will push back. They won't like it sometimes, right? It's out of the comfort zone. But then also, you want to give the whole thing purpose. You want to give the whole thing energy, so everyone understands why it's so important. And that's a mode I think is very valuable and sometimes should be done. The last one is build the brand around details. Johannes, my co-founder at Kapten Son, he's famous for when we look into product creation, when we look into building products, and there's small things around the product, he will, for 15 minutes, have a very emotional monologue about how this particular thing is damaging the brand and how it needs to be different and better so the brand does well. And everyone now working on the products at Kapten Son always remembers these moments and remembers the talks and what the brand means when they build them. And it really makes a difference. So I think micromanaging doesn't always suck, but the last part is you will sometimes fuck up, because sometimes it does suck. Very often it does suck. And then you should be able to apologize that you're wrong. I apologized many, many times to my teams, to everyone, interns, whoever, because I made mistakes in this mode. Principle 7 for me is free eye attribution. There's a lot of talk about let's have single source of truth attribution, let's have the true attribution of channels and campaigns. And this is the second eye that you see here. The second eye looks on the true attribution of a channel or the true attribution of a campaign. And Nike in 2020 said, our whole company needs to be like that. We need to be more D2C, and we need to be full on true attribution. And it was one big reason why since 2020 until today their stock basically stagnated after it was growing for decades. Because what they lost was the power of their brand building. What they lost was the things that they did that weren't really attributable. And that's why they stopped doing them in that way. And a big part of Nike was just not Nike anymore. And now they're changing it again. Right? And that's why this type of attribution should only get one eye. The second eye should be on the constant improvement of leading indicators. So in every channel, you have leading indicators why this channel is good. And you should be constantly trying to improve these indicators, because if they improve, you have high confidence that at the end of the day, your overall mix will get better. So that should be the second eye. And the third eye is on blended health of the overall mix, right? And that's what also Nike is going back to, is, okay, this is all the things that we do. How healthy is that in terms of customer acquisition cost versus customer lifetime value? Where do we stand here? This is the third eye, the wise eye, the yogi eye, as some say. But not only the second eye. It will lead you into places where the brand, for example, doesn't exist. Avoid the retention paradox. At Kapten Son, we were talking so much about how we need more retention. And then in a board meeting, we said, let's actually look how much we're investing into it. How much are we investing on our P&L into the customers that we have or the leads that we have? What are we doing for that? And we realized we're super price insensitive for new customers, for meta ads, for example, for brand work. But we are so stingy about every cent that we pay for CRM work, for retention work. We treat it like a cost center. And for new customers, we want 7, 8 touch points for every person that is supposed to buy. But in CRM, we say, okay, if this person has one touch point, then we should get, for example, in email, then we should get sure that they don't have another touch point in print or in WhatsApp, because then we waste that money. No, there's also multiple touch points, and we also need a good team there, and that is the retention paradox. Talking about how important it is, but then not investing into it. And we changed that, and since then, Kapten became a much better company when it comes to retention and is using a multi-channel CRM approach. The other thing that Kapten did, and that allowed us to become a company that is moving towards 100 million in revenue, is that we scaled channels very early when they were premature. So in our case, it was Instagram and influencer marketing. It was premature, but we aggressively went into it, and we scaled it. And the reason because it's a blue ocean market, it was mispriced. You got so much out of it without putting so much money in. That's what happens with channels early. And then when they get hard, when everyone does it, when it becomes a red ocean, then you want already to master it. Today, Kapten Son is mastering influencer marketing. We have more data than anyone else. We made more mistakes than anyone else in our industry. And that really sets us apart. So scale new marketing channels early, so you master them when it gets hard. And currently, I know I partly own a WhatsApp marketing software company, but why I dedicated the last 6 years of my life into it is because I really think WhatsApp is the next channel in the marketing mix that has exactly that potential. And I see many companies now scaling this channel early to master it in a few years, having millions of subscribers on WhatsApp and sending around messages to them every day. I cannot tell you how it works right now because I don't have time left. So if you want to look at it, feel free to scan and you can try out what the WhatsApp experience with a brand is like. My last principle for today is never forget to say thank you. I forgot it many times, and there's nothing worse than doing craft, putting in the 90-40, going through a tough time, making great work, and then not being appreciated. And it's so simple to say thank you. So that's the 10th and the last one. And thank you to you guys. I hope there was 2 or 3 things you could take with yourself today. And yeah, if there's any question, always feel free to send me a message. And that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I do have one short question for you, because when I'm in, at least in Cologne, when I'm traveling, in buses and stuff, your bags are everywhere. And it must be a really cool feeling when you get on a train and think, oh, that's my product. What kind of feeling is that? Can you describe it?
Yeah, I have to say I love to be at airports in Germany, because there, Kapten Son is a lot about travel, and there I see a lot of backpacks. So it never goes away. The pride stays. And I heard that some even here backstage already have a backpack, so that just energized me coming up.
Well, we can feel the energy on stage, the enthusiasm, and I'd like to say congratulations on your success and all the best for the future. Thank you so much for being here, and give him a big round of applause again.
Thanks
so much for your time.